Alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today, and I am joined with several guests, Omega Pro, Rhymestyle, and ZZ Toasty. But in today's video, we'll be talking a little bit of an overview in regards to Dragon Ball GT. Now, in terms of my overall opinion, I've done 3 videos doing a review on the entire series, so my actual opinion is out there to say, but all of us will share our opinions on the series as a whole. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the video. So ZZ Toasty, tell me what you think about Dragon Ball GT.
Alright, thank you for the awesome intro, but I honestly, for me, GT is not that bad. Alright, so obviously there were a few parts of GT that were not that good, including especially the entire time when they were actually traveling around trying to gather the what are they called? The Shadow Balls?
Black Star Dragon Balls?
Black Star Dragon Balls, thank you. I completely forgot because I haven't watched it in a long time. But like, obviously that was extremely drawn out and really annoying, and honestly I did not enjoy that part of GT. Although I must say that the parts of like the actual fights of GT I very much enjoyed. They had a lot of feel to them, especially Baby. I love Baby as a villain, especially because he's probably my second most favorite Dragon Ball villain in general, right under Frieza, because he, just like Frieza, has a reason to hate the Saiyans. He's been, like, his entire race has been tortured and enslaved by the Saiyans, so he has a reason to hate them and want revenge. And I just think that that's great. Super 17 was probably the weakest villain in GT, in my personal opinion. Omega Shenron, obviously, with the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta fight, as well as his fights against Super Saiyan 4 Goku, are all really good, in my personal opinion. I enjoyed that. The characters in GT and the character designs I really enjoyed, obviously, since I guess they're all made by Akira Toriyama, so they were all really good. So honestly, overall, GT for me was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't expect it to be better than Z because I already knew that it would not be, because at that time when I was watching it, a lot of people around me told me that it wasn't as good as Z, so I didn't expect it to be better. I just watched it. I enjoyed it because, first of all, it was trying to give everybody what they kind of wanted, because before that I watched Dragon Ball, and obviously Kid Goku, they were trying to bring back some sort of nostalgia with Kid Goku and make you feel like you were watching Dragon Ball again, kinda. And I saw what they were trying to do there. Obviously it didn't work that well, but honestly I thought it was alright. I just don't really hate it a lot. Obviously there were some wonky parts, but in general I do like Dragon Ball GT.
Well, I'm just gonna let you know that there will be a comment section that's probably gonna hate you right now. But
oh yeah, I'm used to it.
Before they tune off this video and, you know, say the worst things in the book about you, let's move on to Omega Pro's opinion on
Hold on, wait. I want Rhymestyle to go first, though, because Rhymestyle has a clashing view with Toasty, so okay. I want that to...
Fight! Alright. So everybody that's been to my channel in the past year, they know how I feel about GT. I do not like GT at all, but I will say a couple things. I will agree with Toasty, and I will say that the character designs are pretty awesome. Although I like Super Saiyan God better than Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan 4 isn't that bad of a design. I mean, I don't hate the design, I just prefer Super Saiyan God more than that. Overall, the designs across from the good guys to the bad guys were really good, actually. You know, and I like the villains. I like Baby. I like his backstory because, again, like Toasty said, he had a reason to hate the Saiyans. I even like Super 17. I thought he was a nice touch to the series. You know, giving also the nostalgic feel of the Dragon Ball Z saga with the androids, and then ultimately I like the final part with the dragons. But my one main problem with Dragon Ball GT isn't really the story. It was certain parts of the story that just didn't really make sense to me. For starters, what I didn't like about GT is the fact that they turned Goku into a kid. Like, why? I get what you were saying, Toasty, that they're probably trying to channel the whole Dragon Ball part, and that's the reason why I did it, but it just didn't make any sense to just, you know, take him back into the stage of being a kid. And on top of that, it didn't make sense to me when he went Super Saiyan 4, he was an adult, and then when he transformed back, he was a kid. Like, there were so many parts that annoyed me, and like all the annoyances over time just got really, you know, over the top, and I was like, you know what, I can't watch the series anymore. Another one was when Goku went to hell, and then they did that stupid thing with Piccolo trying to escape. You shouldn't have escaped from hell. Like, there were just so many parts that didn't make any sense, and like, it was just terrible writing. It was terrible writing. But I will say this, if you take GT and take the blueprint and the skeleton of it and give it to someone like Toriyama or his team of better writers, I mean, they're not the greatest writers, but they're better than Toei, they probably could have salvaged GT and probably given us something much better. Actually, before we recorded, we talked about how if GT came first before Dragon Ball Z, it might have been a lot better as a series. Because the thing is we watched Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's cool, but Dragon Ball Z, it was even better. Like Dragon Ball Z probably captured the imagination and hearts of so many people across the world, probably across the universe, as Omega Pro says, because there's species out there watching it as well.
Hey, what's good, aliens? Come down and visit the kid.
Dragon Ball Z was so amazing, and then we got GT. It's like, okay, really? This is the best. This is how you're gonna give us, how you're gonna continue the series? Like if GT came before Dragon Ball Z, or at least was in the same level of epicness, it wouldn't have been that bad. It's just the fact that we had such high standards for it. When we saw GT, it wasn't as good. But overall, I would say kind of like the setup for the stories was cool. The characters were amazing. It's just there's just small things that just didn't make any sense to me. That freaking Android 17 from Hell being made and then fusing with the 17 on Earth. There's just so many small parts that were just like, ugh, like really? Like that's gonna happen? And that's just where I'm gonna leave it. Like I'm neutral about GT, but I am not gonna watch it. I'm not a big fan of it. Like there's good and bads. I don't hate it though. I would say
that the ending of GT is better than Z though. Like
yes and no. So the ending with GT, what I would say is it's cool because it actually ends it. It leaves us with that's it, no more Dragon Ball Z. But at the same time, the reason why Dragon Ball Z ended the way it did is because it wasn't quite over yet. It was purposely left, even with the 10-year gap. It was purposely left like that for something else to happen later. Whereas GT just ended. That's it, like no more. And actually, I would say this. When GT ended and we saw Goku flying away with the dragon, that's probably one of the most saddest parts in the entire Dragon Ball series overall. From Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT. Like, that was actually very depressing because, it's like we watched Goku grow up. We grew up with him. And that's it. There goes our superhero gone forever. Like, that was an end of an era. So that ending was actually really, really cool. It's just that there were small parts of the series that just bugged me, which is why I wasn't that much of a fan of it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm about to say my opinion. I might rant, so don't disrupt the kid. So my opinions on GT. I might get more hate than Toasty. So Toasty, you might be okay in the comment section. I might get some death threats here. I love GT. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I remember when Dragon Ball Z ended and I watched the very last episode, how depressed I was, and I was just like, you know what? I just give up on life. I was like, there's no reason to live anymore. So as a kid, I'm sitting there like in my house. I'm about to fucking, I don't know, stick a fork in an electric socket or some shit. And then my mom, she's like, yo, we got like cable and stuff. And I was like, all right, before I fucking kill myself, let me see what's on TV. And it was Dragon Ball GT. So the first thing that I saw was Vegeta when Baby first took over him, because it was like sort of in the middle, and then they were like on this fucking highway, and then I remember seeing adult Gohan and all that shit, and they were like all acting like weird and shit. And obviously this was when Baby was first coming around and fucking possessing people and shit. So I was just looking, I was like, I don't remember this. So like I took the knife away from the electrical socket and I tossed it, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, well, I'll be damned. And then I found out at that point about GT, because back in the day there was no way to know about this type of shit. So I stuck up with GT. I watched it all the fucking time. The channel didn't really have a lot of, they didn't play Dragon Ball Z a lot, so I ended up getting, DVDs of, each little section. So like it would be a DVD that covered maybe about 5 episodes or something like that. So I bought a bunch of those, and then that's how I watched GT, and I liked it. So I thought GT was pretty damn epic. Like the whole way how Goku went Super Saiyan 4 when Pan was in danger and everything, and how he turned into the Great Ape, and how Pan was actually how she controlled Goku and brought him back from the Great Ape form, the Uzaru form, where usually once you reach that point, it's a wrap. Everything's dying. You know what I mean?
I will agree with that. That part I really like that part.
So like that was very emotional, and I mean there were some parts that I didn't like about GT. Of course, it's not as good as Z. Don't get me wrong, like that'll never happen. But I don't like how Vegeta sort of got robbed in GT. So that's one thing that I didn't really like. But I'm talking like overall, I can appreciate GT for what it was. I'll agree with Toasty in that the whole hunt for the Black Star Dragon Balls was kind of fucking stupid. But once Omega Shenron came out, and once the fusion happened, Super Saiyan 4 happened, like that shit was just fucking hype to me, and I got very excited about it. And I just remember all the good parts. Like I don't know if maybe I should rewatch it to reform an opinion, but all I remember is just great memories about GT, and it has its flaws. It's not as good as Z, don't get me wrong again, but I can still appreciate it for what it is. And there were a lot of moments in it that are very memorable to me. When I think back to all my Dragon Ball Z memories, Obviously, Cell Saga beats off everything. The Baby Frieza Saga, Majin Buu Saga is kind of but a lot of the memories I have are of GT. Like we were talking about this before we started recording. One of my favorite, there was 2 favorite parts that I really liked in GT that always stand out to me when I'm thinking of Dragon Ball. One was when Goku went Super Saiyan 4 and Baby Vegeta was just fucking kicking his ass. Like Baby Vegeta was beating the shit out of him, but Goku started playing mind games and he faked it like he wasn't hurting at all. Like he was this fucking super being that just did not give a fuck about anything Baby was doing. So then Baby started psychologically going crazy. He was like, what the fuck? I'm like hitting this guy with everything I've got, but he just doesn't give a fuck. And meanwhile, Goku's thinking to himself, he's like, all right, if I get hit one more time, I'm fucking dead. Like, you know, it was just fucking, it was so awesome to see like that psychological mind game being brought into Dragon Ball. And then another one of my favorite parts is seeing the fucking strength of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta when they first fused and they were just fucking around with Omega Shenron. They were like, this guy over here is a little bitch. I remember we talked about this again where he was charging up like a Big Bang Kamehameha to fucking blow Omega Shenron away right up to his face, and then like party poopers and fucking like streamers and all that shit like popped up out of nowhere and he was fucking laughing in Omega Shenron's face and Omega Shenron's like getting fucking pissed and shit. Like I just fucking love that type of shit. I even like Super 17. I really liked GT. That's just me. Y'all can hate me, whatever, send me death threats. It's your boy, I'm out.
I'm sorry. Okay, I just want to say one more thing for me, and then Kwame can speak. All right, I'm just gonna say I really love Super Saiyan 4's transformation, not only because it's like it looks cool and everything. I like the way it looks, but I also love the way that the person who has Super Saiyan 4 changes. Goku never really was a brutal type of person, but when he became a Super Saiyan 4, he became very, very brutal. And I think it was, what was his name? Ice Shenron or the Blue Shenron? I forgot his name. It was just Ice Shenron. Yeah. The way he killed him so brutally, like he never really did that unless it was like a monster that had no way of being reasoned with, and he just killed it cold-heartedly. Like it didn't matter.
How about the best fucking part of GT with fucking Super Saiyan 4 Goku Kamehameha's baby into the sun? That shit was
that's what
how the fuck you get Kamehameha into the fucking sun?
So,
that shit was just hype.
Let me say one thing, and then Kwame can speak. So that's actually one of the things that bothered me about GT. Like that was when the fight should have ended. Like that was amazing. Game over. Blast him in the sun. Death. Like the part that just bugged me is one of the other things that I really didn't like about GT is like why was Baby back on Earth then? Like why did they write the story like that? Like a fight should have ended right there. Like him getting blasted in the sun. Instead they come back to Earth and the fight's not over. Like they were just small things that just stacked up, which is why I wasn't a big fan. But I would agree with what everybody said so far. Like Goku going Super Saiyan 4 or Gogeta versus Omega Shenron with the party poopers and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that was really, really fun now that I think about it. But other than that, it's just I don't know.
Baby was like, yo, I'm getting away. You ain't gonna catch me. And Goku was like, ha,
nah, bro.
Kamehameha, fucking blew him away. Shit was hype.
Kwame, what you got?
All right. Well, like I said before, I've made 3 reviews on this, but I'll say this much. When I think about Dragon Ball GT, I think about a child that has so much potential that they never live up to. And the reason I say this is because I think GT could have been a better series than Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It had all the tools to be a better series, but it just didn't execute on it. Why do I say this? So many things could have happened that didn't. For example, when Goku was fighting the Shadow Dragons or when they were in outer space, they could have made Pan a Super Saiyan. That would have been interesting to see. They could have done an adult fusion. They flirted with doing an adult fusion between adult Goten and Trunks.
That pissed me off, I will say. That really did get on my nerves.
And then if you add in the plethora of inconsistencies like, Goku being trapped in hell when he could have just instant transmissioned out the entire time, and they completely didn't even think of that. Which is funny because later in the series, by the way, at the end of the series when Goku goes to visit his friends, he goes to hell. So it's like he uses instant transmission to get into hell to tell goodbye to Piccolo, but he didn't think of doing that early in the series, and he was like stuck there. That was like the biggest error of life I could think of in GT. Like I'm like, how could they have completely forgotten about this?
That's kind of like what I was saying. Like there were small things.
like, is there like no inconsistencies like that in Z?
I mean,
If I took the time to think about it, I'm sure I could find something. But off the top, like, can you recall anything like that from Z?
honestly, I mean, I don't like saying this, but Rhymestyle can attest to it. The reason I have so many Dragon Ball Z segments is because Dragon Ball Z is very inconsistent. If Dragon Ball Z was more consistent, I wouldn't have a lot of these theory-type videos. But, I mean, if you really think about it, I don't really think of that as a plot hole. I think of that more of just a big blunder. Like, just something that they just said, wow, we completely forgot about that. I guess the closest thing, maybe they could have mentioned Goten and Trunks having tails in Dragon Ball Z. And another little thing is that in regards to character speed by the point of the series, it shouldn't have taken Trunks that long to get the Capsule Corporation to get the Dragon Radar. But that's really it. And I just feel like they could have done so much better with the series. GT, honestly, okay, there are fans out there who hate Dragon Ball GT, and I understand, because it never lived up to what Z and Dragon Ball wanted. It's like you're trying. It's kind of like sports, you know. And I'm obviously a big sports fan. I'll make a quick analogy. It's like you're trying, like the Miami Heat right now. I just finished watching this when we're recording. We lost to the Washington Wizards, and we lost to one of the worst teams, and then we lost to Philadelphia a couple days ago. And it's like,
oh, that's embarrassing.
We're trying. It's like, if you're comparing us to the championship contending team that we were over the last 4 years, we can't live up to that. And I think that's what happened to, you know, Dragon Ball GT. I just think.
Well, how do you think I feel as a Lakers fan? That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, I don't like the Lakers, so I don't want to. You don't want to hear my thoughts on the Lakers, but I can understand what you mean, because when you guys were competing with championships. But anyways, getting back to Dragon Ball, my point is that I just feel like GT just never did enough to justify, and turning Goku into a kid was one of the worst decisions ever. You know, I mean, they could have done so much more. And some of the characters that they fought early in the series, like those worms that they were struggling to beat, that just was like, are you serious? Like, that just.
Well, if he doesn't, who will? That's my question.
Yeah. Or let me not forget, Goku's fighting against the Shadow Dragons in his base form, and he's acting like he's in danger when he's not even using a quintillionth of his power. Like, really? I don't know.
Well, that's kind of like what I was saying. Is like they were just like small parts that didn't make much sense. Like, if they would have just given the entire Dragon Ball GT story to like Toriyama's team to fine tune it, I think it could have been a lot better.
Let me say,
like, Toriyama could be like, no, that's not gonna happen. This is not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Well, he probably would have screwed up even more, but they could at least fix the crappy parts and made it a lot better.
Well, let me just say
like,
something.
I think you said it the best. It's a child that never reaches potential.
Well, you know, what you just said made me think of one final point that I wanted to bring up. Thank you. In regards to not really being consistent, did you guys ever notice that in terms of age calculation, it is almost impossible for Pan to be Goku Jr.'s grandmother at 114 years old? Let's just do a rough estimation, right? Let's say Goku Jr. is 10, and Pan is 114 years old. How old do you think that can make Goku Jr.'s parents? At minimum! I remember I
calculated. She must have had a kid when she was like 57.
I calculated this with Black and Fist. And I remember we found out that at minimum Goku Jr.'s parents have to be at least in their 80s or 60s, like in an insanely high range to be a parent to a 10-year-old, which is really weird, and they just never really calculated the ages properly. They just said
never
grandmother.
Too old to slap uglies, man.
They just said grandmother, but they didn't even consider anything else.
I mean,
but
let's say the same thing about Bulma in Battle of Gods. They just lie about her age, man.
Well, it looks like we've said quite a lot here today. GT, I don't think it's as bad as other people are gonna say. They're gonna be there. You always have your Dragon Ball Z loyalists that are gonna say, "Oh, GT is the worst fucking thing that ever existed." But at the end of the day, I don't think it was as horrible as people call it. I just think it just never lived up to its potential, and that's why people think it's garbage.
Always remember,
so
children.
the other beautiful
Always
part is
remember
the internet. The beautiful part about the internet is you can have your own opinion. So feel free to share your own opinions as well of what you think about GT, whether you loved it or hated it. And don't stab each other with pitchforks and burn each other with torches or blow each other up with Kamiyami House.
You guys can kill each other. Just, don't talk to me about it.
Never forget, a spirit bomb can't kill Frieza, but it can kill Omega Shenron. Just never forget.
You can't kill Vegeta either, don't forget that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's basically been us for us. I hope that they post, this is going to probably go up on multiple channels. I hope they post links in the description to my 3 reviews of the series.
I will post a link to all of my channels and my Twitter, and yeah, you guys can check me out. If you're watching this on my channel, feel free to check me out.
It really helps him out.
Check out everybody in the description below. Leave your comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this amazing discussion, make sure you punch that like button right in the balls. Right in the balls.
Yep.
But we're
Also,
at
Dash
that
Radio.
time, aren't we, guys?
You're so violent against the like button. I don't understand what's wrong with you, Angelo. You just
Because look at it. Don't you just want to punch it?
Yeah.
Anyways,
don't forget Dash Radio.
All right, remember, guys. So the way we tally the votes to see what opinion is actually more important is through the like system. If you don't like GT, leave a like on this video. If you like GT, leave a like on this video, and that's how we'll tally up all the votes, and everything will be great.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for this video.
Kwame, take us out.
So, guys, that has been our video for today. But most importantly, over everything else,
So much build-up.
Dino, would you like to do the honors with me?
Go for it.
Please remember
Please remember.
to
2.
rate, comment, and fucking subscribe.
All 3 of those.
And remember, as I always fucking say in every single fucking video,
Don't forget.
to have a great day, guys. And whenever you guys see this video, if it is, I hope you're having a happy new year.